In December of 1973, a charming little movie came out. It was all the rage at the time. Everyone said, you gotta go see this movie. I can remember my whole experience with that movie vividly, because that movie completely changed my life. It all began when a group of us wanted to go see it. The movie is a little over 2 hours, but I did not make it past the first. I became so frightened and full of anxiety that I had to get up and get out of that theater. In front of all my friends, I was the one who could not take it. I was much too scared to be worried about being embarrassed or shamed by my non-manly behavior. The movie is The Exorcist. It's rated R, a very strong R, recommended for restricted audiences, and it scared the bug's breath right out of me. Now, this was years before I became this proud, ruggedly handsome and strong person you see before you. But then I was such a young and a tender age that I was not secure about myself as a Christian or in any other way. I wasn't strong enough to deal with what was happening on that movie screen. Up to then, I had really never given much thought to demons or evil spirits. The entire subject was something I generally tried to avoid. But in that dark theater, on that big screen, I felt trapped. The producers of the film had their desired effect on me. I was genuinely scared. But it was only a movie, though. True enough. But it greatly frightened me, and with all the traumas and effects that come with such a fear. I've said before, I don't like horror films, and this is one of the reasons why. But I'm okay now. It's okay. I've recovered completely. It did take some time. I wish I would have known Donna Favors then, because she said something about taking on your fears. There are 4 ways you handle fear. You go over it, under it, around it. But if you're ever going to put fear behind you, you must walk straight through it. Once you put it behind you, leave it there. I'm no longer afraid of such things, and that's because I have found Jesus. Jesus' strength and Jesus' power, and Jesus has control over these things. Jesus is fully capable of directly taking on any person, spirit or spirits. Mark 1, as Jesus is teaching in a synagogue at Capernaum, said, "Just then a man in their synagogue who was possessed by an evil spirit cried out." Now, demonic possessions of humans seems to be a reoccurring theme throughout the Bible. And I'm sure they were very, I'll say the word, frightening. It's a very frightening thing to witness someone demon-possessed. Especially because there's nothing that anyone could do to help the situation. That is, before Jesus. Jesus came and gave us the power in His name to defeat evil spirits and demons. The word is basically an English word, demon, derived from a Greek word, essentially meaning divinity and deity. A false deity, to be sure, but these were angels, originally created to worship God. But then Satan corrupted 1/3 of all the angels, and they are these demons. These fallen angels now worship Satan, the devil. There seems to be a great many of them all throughout the Bible, which means there are a great many of them in this world. Here in Mark 1, we see Jesus dealing with what seems to be one demon in one person. Later in Mark, though, we see Christ, with just his words, defeating several demons possessing a man in a graveyard. Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "My name is Legion," he replied, "for we are many in one man, in one person." Luke 8 tells us that 7 demons were cast out of Mary Magdalene by Jesus. And there are several other instances in the New Testament where demons feared and understood who Jesus is and what Jesus can do to them. Jesus is a threat to evil demons, fallen angels. This morning, the Gospel of Mark gives us an example of this when the demon asked Jesus, "Have you come to destroy us?" And I take this question referring to all fallen angels. And you can take out the question mark, and it would read as the correct and true response. The answer would be, "You have come to destroy us." Jesus has come to destroy evil, take away all sin. These demons are no match for God. They were created by God. And whether one or great multitudes of them, Jesus has the divine power to control and command these fallen angels. And the good news, dear Christians, is that before he departed this world, Jesus gave that same authority to us in his name, calling on his holy name by the power of Jesus Christ. We have the power to defeat Satan and all of his minions. Jesus proved this when he sent his disciples out on their own, giving them the power to vanquish possessed people's demons, send them packing. And he gave it to all of his followers, you and me. By Christ's word, we can withstand, control, and even defeat anything this world or even Satan himself can throw at you. In his name, by his power. Not by yours. We have Jesus on our side. Truly, we have nothing to fear. There's a quote by Dale Carnegie. You can conquer almost any fear if you will only make up your mind to do so. For remember, fear doesn't exist anywhere except in your mind. Fear of a scary movie was in my mind. But demons are real. And if that young boy who had to flee a silly little movie had known this, wonder how different his life would be. But then again, all things considered, it's possible that everything which has happened, to me specifically, to the world generally, but all of this by God's almighty hand, everything that has occurred ever has brought me here, to this very church, before you very people. Now I'm going to misquote Humphrey Bogart and Martin Luther. Of all the churches in all the worlds, here I stand, for I can do no other. So help me God. Okay. The people saw Jesus defeat with words. He didn't grab the man. He didn't throw water on him. He didn't do anything except nobody could control these things before that. Well, maybe a few, but usually not for good. So the people flocked, and they flocked, and they followed Jesus. They would not go away from Jesus. It got to where he had to find a way to escape for a few minutes respite. And he did that by going to town too. He didn't want to be locked into any one place. Let's go somewhere else, to nearby villages, so I can preach there also. That's why I have come. And that was Jesus' life. For the remainder of his time on earth, he went from town to town, place to place. He vanquished those that need vanquishing. He freed those that need to be freed. He preached the good news of the God of salvation, and people came to him. We are coming to him still today, here, right now, you and me. And it will continue until he decides, the Father decides, to send him home, back here to get us and bring us back home with him. In the meantime, we have to breathe in, breathe out, and live the days. When things come at you, they could be spirits from a bottle. They could be spirits of nicotine. They could be spirits of hate, fear and loathing, whatever. Anything that will pull you away from God can be controlled if you ask God. And all you really have to do is believe it. It doesn't do any good if you don't believe it. But we have examples in the book. Read the Bible. See how Jesus used the words to defeat those against God. And he gave you that same authority. It's our message today. Don't let the world get you down. Yeah, you can get hurt. You will bleed in this world. You will suffer a bit. But this ain't the last stop. You've got somewhere else to go. And your pain won't be here. Your addictions won't be here. Your sin won't be here anymore. Amen.